I was trading emails with a founder. They had sent 15,000 emails and got near zero real responses. And he asked me, what do you think we're doing wrong? I asked him, what else have you tried? And he gave me the full backstory. They tried blogging. They tried posting online on LinkedIn. They even tried ads. So eventually the founder got fed up and fired the junior marketer he had tasked to figure all this out. Then he went on to hire an agency that promised him the world. 3 months later, after a 3-month retainer, again, zero results. As we dug into exactly the process he followed, the problem became evident. There are so many founders exactly like him that I talked to. They have done all the execution pieces, but skipped the part where they really figured out a proper go-to-market strategy. They didn't adopt a proper go-to-market framework that would set up the junior marketer or the agency or anyone else they hired or anything they did on their own for success. On this episode, I'm gonna walk you through my 6-step unstoppable go-to-market strategy framework. This has been battle-hardened every single year that I've been doing this channel, and I'm gonna give you the framework that works today in 2026. Intro. Now, before I show you the framework, what I'm gonna do is make a delineation between the two critical parts of growing your company. The first part is your go-to-market strategy. This is what we're really gonna be focusing on in this video. The second part is your execution. I broke this down into 6 steps. So steps 1 through 4 is going to be all about the strategy, and then 5 and 6 is going to be about the execution. Let's get the easy stuff about execution out of the way. Execution is all the things I talked about in the beginning of this episode. It's the emails, it's the ads, it's the outbound, it's the events. There are over 27 different ways you can drive go-to-market execution. But if you skip the strategy part, if you don't have a proper framework to figure out your go-to-market strategy, all of that is going to fail, including the junior marketer, the agency, the fractional CMO, and anyone else that you hire or the things that you do yourself. So what we're gonna be focused on are the 6 steps to actually get your strategy right so that by the time you get into the execution, whether you're doing it yourself to save money or you're hiring people to actually execute on it, you're gonna be set up for success. By the way, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is TK and I run a channel called Unstoppable. And on this channel, I help SaaS and AI founders like you grow your businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. If you're new, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, that way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode like this with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your business faster. If you're already part of this community, if you're part of my go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. Happy New Year. I'm really excited to see you over here. Now, the reason I know this framework, the reason I know it works really well, the reason I can speak to it with so much conviction and why I'm gonna be walking you through each of the steps is because I started a company called ToutApp when I first started out in the SaaS industry. We pioneered the sales engagement space and we were backed by Andreessen Horowitz. I learned firsthand on what it takes to go from zero all the way to millions of revenue and also creating a brand new category like sales engagement. After that, we sold ToutApp to Marketo. Marketo was a $450 million ARR company, and I joined their executive team, and I joined as their SVP of strategy. Over there, I learned what it truly takes to scale a go-to-market strategy, all the way up to revenues like $450 million ARR. Based on all those things that I learned, I started this channel, I started my go-to-market program, and to date, over my 20 years of experience in the SaaS industry and now in the AI industry, I have helped hundreds of founders. All the case studies are shared on this channel. I'll link to it in the description on how to build out their go-to-market strategy and execute on it. So based on all of my experience, I developed and have battle-hardened this 6-step framework that I'm gonna be walking you through. If you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's dig right into it. So step number 1 in the process, I'm gonna break these down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's gonna be 5 and 6. Step number 1 in the process is first to map out your total addressable market and really map out your target market. This is one of the biggest mistakes that founders make when I start working with them is they go after the total addressable market and they run all of these execution pieces, whether it's ads or posting online or doing a TikTok video or YouTube or you name it. But what they're really doing is they're trying to speak to their total addressable market. One of the sayings that we have is the riches are actually in the niches. So what you really want to figure out is what is the part of the market that you really want to be targeting for the next stage of growth. The way I like to do this is I like to do a proper ideal customer profile exercise. So I can really look at my total addressable market, which is basically the entire world, and I can whittle down to the specific part of the market where I can really make a difference. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I actually do my target market in a way so that I can actually make a difference? This is where step number 2 comes in. Step number 2 is called segmentation. Segmentation takes this entire total addressable market and starts to break it down into specific parts of the market that you can go after. Now, there are different ways to segment a target market. You could go after the SMB, you could go after the mid-market, and you could go after the enterprise. Segment the market based on geo. You could segment it based on industry. There are many different ways that you can actually slice up your total addressable market and start to focus in on a specific part of the market. The second part of this is actually choosing a specific segment where you can actually make a difference and you can actually be competitive, so that by the time you go into the execution, you can actually target your message and start to actually focus on a specific part of the market. Now, part of segmentation is actually the third step. All of these 3 things start to come together. The third step is actually thinking about positioning. Now, when you actually look at this target market and the different segments, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to map out different competitors that exist in different parts and different segments of the market. There may be an enterprise segment, which is absolutely crushing it, a competitor in the enterprise segment. There may be someone in the entry-level market, but no one in the enterprise. What you really want to do is understand who the key players are and who's winning in the market. Now, if you're in this stage where there are no competitors, that's usually a warning sign. It usually means that there are no successful companies in this target market doing what you're doing, which usually means not that you're really unique and special. What it usually means that there's a lot of companies that failed. 1% of the time, it's actually meaning that, hey, you're early enough where you can actually create a category. Now, for you, you're gonna have to make that distinction. Is it a bunch of graveyard companies and it's a terrible market to go after? Or you're super early and this is going to be an emerging category? That's something that you'll wanna figure out. But the more competitors there are, believe it or not, the better the market is, which means that, hey, this is validated, people are making money, there's a clear problem, there's solutions. We need to figure out how to actually differentiate. So these 3 steps, first, your total addressable market, and then whittling it down to your target market, through segmentation and positioning, is one of the critical pieces that a lot of founders skip. And even worse, honestly, what ends up happening is they kind of skip it. They hire the junior marketer, they hire the agency, and they say, hey, here's what we do, here's who our target market is, go get us leads, go get us pipeline, go get us business. And they do all these things online, which is a very noisy place, but nothing quite lands because you're so broad and no one knows you and no one trusts you. So figuring out how you can look at this total addressable market, the competitors, the different segments, and then finally saying, hey, you know what? There's this very specific part of the market. In this case, let's just say it's a mid-market in the US and in the tech industry. That starts to get into a very specific ideal customer profile. When you do these 3 things the right way, you start to actually figure out what is our strategy going to be on all the execution pieces we're going to do. And you're gonna then be able to make some decisions to really stand out to US companies that are in the technology industry and also in a specific segment of the market, and you can start to actually get their attention. Are you starting to see why a lot of times when you skip even these first 3 steps, I haven't gone to 4, 5, and 6 yet, why so many companies fail and so many founders fail, even though they hire good intentional junior marketers or agencies or fractional CMOs? The reason is this work didn't get done. Now, one of the things that I talk to founders about a lot is who is responsible for doing this work? Who's responsible for figuring out the total addressable market and the specific segment of the market that you want to go after, and how you position against them, and then figuring out how to actually do the rest of the pieces to figure out the go-to-market strategy. Well, if you have a VP of marketing, then it's the VP of Marketing's job. That's literally what the VP of Marketing is responsible for companies that are scaling. But if you don't have a VP of Marketing and you have an agency or a junior marketer or it's just you, then it's the founder. It's the leadership team that's responsible for setting this strategic direction. And in the absence of that leadership, anyone else that's doing any of the execution, whether it's an SDR, a BDR, a junior marketer, an inexperienced marketer, an agency, they're just going to be doing a bunch of execution pieces and it's going to end up nowhere because they haven't been given the strategic direction of the company. Now, before I go to number 4, which really starts to get into the output of all of this, let me pause here for a second. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. I am tired of meeting founders over and over who have wasted months of runway, wasted money, paid retainers, ruined the careers of junior marketers because they gave them a job and they now have a 6-month stint in their resume that they can't explain on why they failed and got fired. I'm tired of seeing this over and over, which is why I wanted to make this episode. So if you're starting to see the power of the difference between the strategy and the execution and what actually goes into a go-to-market strategy and how it can really influence everything else that you do in terms of execution and the growth for your company. If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get that yes in the comments below? I love hearing from you. And also smash that like button. Also, if you're in this stage where you're looking to transform your go-to-market strategy, if you're like, TK, I'm in, I have to figure this out. I have to figure out my target market. I have to figure out my segmentation. I have to figure out my positioning. I have to figure out my messaging. And you want to actually transform your go-to-market strategy to one that you can scale and you can actually build a team around. This is why I created my go-to-market program. Inside of this go-to-market program, I work with you to transform your go-to-market strategy and execute on it so that you can unlock growth. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll share the link in the description below. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to step number 4 in building out your go-to-market strategy as part of my framework for driving growth. Number 4 is once you have your target market, once you have your segmentation, once you have your positioning, again, before you do any of the execution pieces, you actually need to build out your manifesto. Your manifesto is actually the end result of your positioning, of your segmentation, and most importantly, it's your messaging. It's how you communicate to the market who you are, why you exist, why you're different, what you do, and why they should go with you. It's all these things coming together into succinct statements, your manifesto, that can actually get the attention of your ideal customers. Now, I've met founders who are like, hey, I made my manifesto. I'm like, what does that mean for you? Like, oh, I created this page and it says our manifesto and I declared on a soapbox why we're the best. I'm like, that's not what a manifesto is. I mean, like, yes, there's a communist manifesto, but that's not what this is supposed to be. The manifesto is an exercise that you go through to actually flesh out your total addressable market, your target market, your segmentation, your positioning, and your value proposition and your strategic narrative. These are unique little pieces that come together. It's not a page that you put up on your website where you just shout at the world on why you're the best. No one's going to your website, bro. That's literally not what it is. So it's super important to understand a manifesto is not what you think. It's not your soapbox. It's a set of steps you follow to really figure out your messaging, your strategic narrative on how you're going to communicate into the market. And once you have this, you'll notice all of these steps build on each other. You start to look at your total addressable market, the target market. You start to segment it. You start to position yourself by looking at the competition, and you start to build out your manifesto. They all build on each other. And just like that, that yields your go-to-market strategy, and that informs the actual execution. That's how this comes together. That's how you're supposed to do it. Now, what's step number 5? Step number 5 is what I call a Broadway show. This is another thing that I see with founders that are not growing, that are struggling with their go-to-market. What they did, like that founder I talked about in the beginning of this episode, they tried everything. They're like, hey, I hired a junior marketer, we did some blogging. And then we tried TikTok, and then we tried YouTube, we ran some ads, and we did some outbound. And what ended up happening was they were being scatterbrained, and they tried a whole bunch of things, but nothing worked. And they never reached true channel mastery. Each of these different ways that you can drive execution requires some level of mastery. It requires you to focus, requires you to look at how do you succeed in that one channel, and how do you actually execute to bring your manifesto to your ideal customers on a consistent basis. Which is why I always reframe founders when they're doing their go-to-market strategy work to think about a Broadway show. So the Broadway show, when done right, is where you get consistent about the marketing activities that bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis on a few of these channels, and the sales activities that turn that attention to real revenue. And you have to be consistent about it. You can't be scatterbrained. And more importantly, you have to ask yourself, what is the best practice for winning in any of the channels that we focus on? Which channel should we focus on? And how do we win in it and be effective in it? And what do we measure to be successful in it? Once you do the Broadway show in the right way, everything becomes easier. The consistency and the data you collect gives you the answers to what do we double down on and how do we scale. And then it starts to become easier and easier to drive growth. The final step in this, and I alluded to this a second ago when I was telling you about the consistency, is you're not gonna know what's working and what's not if you don't instrument the business in the right way, if you don't instrument the go-to-market strategy in the right way, which is why you need to collect the right data and you actually need to iterate. So one of the things that I always recommend that you do is decide on the right metrics so that you know whether it's working or not. If you make a change, you'll know if it impacted it in the positive way or a negative way. And based on that data, this execution will then go full circle back into your strategy, and you're gonna get better and better and better and better and better. That's how you scale. So those are my 6 steps to building out your go-to-market strategy and executing on it so that you're successful this year in 2026. Let's recap. Number 1, you wanna look at what is the total addressable market that we have. Once you have that, then you wanna say, okay, let's just say I'm at $1 million in ARR, or I'm at a 200K in ARR. And that means that I've got some initial signs of product market fit. Well, how do I get to $1 million? What does that segment of the market look like? So that's step number 2. You really wanna segment your market and start to understand what are the different parts of the market that you can focus on. Number 3 is you wanna look at what are the pieces of competition, what are the companies with competition that exist, and you wanna figure out, do we go directly compete with one of them, or do we pick out a white space in the market? That's your positioning. Once you have those 3 things, you start to get this go-to-market strategy. You start to say, here's where we're gonna go, and here's how we're gonna actually differentiate ourselves. You wanna then feed that into your manifesto. Your manifesto is your positioning. It's your strategic narrative. It's your messaging. It's how you go into the market. It's what you feed into this execution machine. That's step number 4. Once you have that, then you wanna get into step number 5. Step number 5 is running your Broadway show. The Broadway show is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that brings your manifesto, your message to your ideal customers, your target segment of the market with the differentiation that you have, so that you can start to generate pipeline, you can start to convert them to customers and expand them and drive growth. And finally, step number 6 is you wanna collect the data. As you're doing this consistent Broadway show, you're collecting the data and you're iterating on it as you look at the data, and that's how you're gonna be able to scale. So now you know the go-to-market strategy framework that I have followed for my entire career in SaaS and now AI. For the hundreds of founders that I've coached inside of my go-to-market program to unlock growth. And now you know the exact steps you need to be following so that you don't waste months. You don't waste months of money, of time, of burn, of resources on the wrong execution moves because you never did the strategy. Now, what you may not know is, TK, how do I actually figure out my go-to-market strategy and how do I implement each of these steps? If you want the cheat codes to execute on your go-to-market strategy so you can transform your go-to-market strategy and then start executing on it and scaling it, this is why I created my go-to-market program. Inside of the program, I work with you to transform your go-to-market strategy from the one you have now to an effective and scalable one so that you can execute on it and unlock growth and drive scalable growth. It's an incredible program, so if you'd like to join, just go to tkkader.com/GTM and you'll see all of the details in there. Now, I've been running this program for some time, and every year I revamp the program based on the shifts in the market. I get so much access to so many companies and so much data, I actually get to understand what's working and what's not so we can continue to iterate on the program. And this is the best version of the program that I've had because I revamped the entire thing over the past year based on all the shifts that have happened because of AI. Now, the better the fit, the better the results. This is what I know. So if you'd like to join and work together, all you have to do is fill out a short application. The application will help me understand if you're the right fit for the go-to-market program and if I can actually help you. Now, if you're the right fit, I'll send you all of the details and we'll get you onboarded. Typically, founders that join the program are able to transform their go-to-market strategy within the first 3 weeks of joining. Once they transform it, they're able to launch it, able to collect the data, and then we look at it together every week to make sure that you're going in the right direction, you're able to iterate, and you're able to scale. And I support you for a full year. So if you'd like to join the go-to-market program and work together to transform your go-to-market strategy and scale your growth, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. I also drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS and AI business faster. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the principles on how to grow a SaaS business and an AI business faster. Also, if you have a fellow founder that would get value from this video, if you're part of a WhatsApp group or a Slack group or any sort of community, please share this video with a fellow founder. That way they too can understand the principles that go into building out a proper go-to-market strategy so that they don't just jump to execution and waste months of their own time and also the time or ruin careers of junior marketers because they're being tasked with something that a VP of marketing should be doing. And lastly, if you actually want the cheat codes to implement all of these pieces that I've outlined over here, just follow the link in the description below or just go to tkkader.com/GTM for details on applying to the go-to-market program so you can work together to transform your go-to-market strategy and implement all the steps in this framework. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.